Welcome to the essential three, which I deem as kipping toaster bar, kipping pull-ups, and kipping handstand push-ups, or strict in some variation, to be able to get CrossFitters to that more intermediate level, doing more RX workouts potentially, and just tending to common faults. So here we've broken down the four main sections of the toaster bar, what can go wrong, the main common fault here, and then we have some assistance exercises to go with it. First principles to go through are establishing rhythm. Then we add tension to that rhythm through arch and hollow shapes. If you're not familiar with them, that'll be gone through in some of the videos. And then adding power and size to that. So rhythm with the beat swing, adding tension through arch and hollow holds or dynamic movement between the two shapes on the bar, and then we add size. So for that will be lifting the feet higher, trying to get more range of motion out of that toaster bar whilst maintaining that tension and rhythm. If you lose them whilst adding power and size, then we go back. We take the power and size down, and then we just keep building up the strength around it. First off is the kip, establishing a good beat swing, good arch and hollow shape either side of the bar, and now create rhythm, and then adding some tension as well. We want the good requisite mobility to be able to drive the chest through and the bicep behind the ear in this range of motion, and then doing exercises like arch holds, hollow rocks, arch rocks, just to maintain that foundation for this initial movement. We'll go over now and just have a look at how we develop that. So the first step is establishing the hollow and arch positions either side of the bar, transitioning between the two for our beat swing or our kip to establish rhythm, and then building tension in that rhythm by tensing in the arch and hollow shape each side. So the arch shape is chest through the bar, biceps behind ears, glutes tensed and toes pointed just under the bar. The hollow shape is mirroring the other side, with our ribs tucked down to our hips, closing off into our belly button and tensing here. Toes slightly pointed forward and pressing down on the bar. So arch, push through, and hollow here. You can find those hollow and arch shapes online or on the Big Red YouTube that you can perform on the floor just to build them up and strengthen them. Transitioning between the two, you'll start off through the chest and the shoulders, just pushing from one to the other, either side of the bar. No point in adding tension yet, we're just trying to establish some rhythm. After that, we're going to start to squeeze, push the chest through, squeeze the glutes, point the toes down, and then tuck into our ribs on the back end, push the toes slightly forward, and bring our chest behind the bar. Adding tension, so this is the beginning, rhythm, very gentle, head neutral, adding tension there after that. Have a go at that, and then lead on to the next bit. So once we establish that kip and that rhythm, we can start developing the leg speed to start lifting the feet. There's a few things that link between these two here, but as we lift the feet, if you look at the hip position here of the arch and the hollow, hips are in front of the bar, feet just rest under that bar line. Hips then come behind the bar alongside the body in that hollow position. The leg speed, as we start to lift the feet up in this hollow, the feet are going to start to come higher and higher. So let's say they come up to about here. We're going to have to maintain our hips behind that bar line, which is something that you will see in this compression section. But legs rise and fall, or the feet rise and fall with that beat swing. So as the feet come up, the hips are going to drift back. As the feet lower and fall into their next rep, the hips have to come through, they'll line up, and then you'll fall into that arch position. Maintaining that rhythm is the most important thing, and making sure that you can raise and lift the thighs and the feet in the same cadence and tempo with the beat swing that you've established. So my favorites for just establishing or trying to create some flick with the feet or some speed from that initial position is a leg raise hip extensions, which you'll be shown, and V-ups simply there. Now we've established the beat swing and the kip and that rhythm, we can start to lift the toes in sync with that beat swing as just described. So starting off, I'm going to mirror the raise of the feet with the push through of the arch, just beginning in this beat swing. So staying tucked through here, and then my
feet are going to lift up and push back as my chest falls through. I'm not leaning back, I'm pulling my hips back behind the bar and lifting my feet in front to fill that space that I've made. As my chest falls through, my feet will move back, my chest falls through, my feet will move back under into that arch position in the same timing. To develop that hip power and that leg pop initially, good things to do are V-ups, hollow shape on the floor, snap into the middle, both at the same time, for speed and control, or some kind of leg raise, hip extension for rapid leg lift and hip pop. Give that a go, move on to the next phase. Part C, this compression part, is what I'm talking about with the top end of the toes to the bar. Folding yourself up, getting the toes to the bar, and our hands still being leveraged onto the bar, and it's achieving that full rep. And that's just ab compression, folding up, keeping tension whilst in that folded position. So your hips, as I said with B, will remain behind the bar even as the feet touch up. Because as you can see here, if our hips are still under the bar, as we touch the toes to the bar, as you want to pull the feet down and get into this arch position, if you pull the feet down, your hips want to come through and forward. If our hips are already underneath the bar, as your feet come down, they're going to swing behind instead, and that's where you lose rhythm. So that's where people go too quick from this stage to adding that extra foot in, and then their hips curl under instead of holding back, and then they just fall into the wrong rhythm, and then they have to fold, re-kip, and get that beat swing going before they do another one. So the important things with this are creating lat drive, straight arm power, driving and pushing down on the bar, hamstring flexibility. If your legs can't stay straight or even achieve a folded up position, that's going to limit you anyway. So lots of forward falls, lots of just lengthening the hamstrings will help anyway. And then for the top end compression strength with the abs, I'll always drill pike raises, ball ups, that helps compression, but also a little bit of lat tension in the top of the movement, just down here being able to push forward on the bar. And then assisted tuck to V-sit, that'll be in the next sample phase as well that I'll film next. Main things though, hips forward in the arch, hips back in the arch. Feet will lift, and no matter what, as long as your feet are lifting up towards the rep, your hips are going to hold behind, and then hips will drive forward, feet will come back under, and then you'll move to that arch position. So this part C is after we've done the beat swings, raised up the legs, and kept that rhythm. As I said, if you start to raise up the legs and lose that rhythm, then please don't go as high with the feet, just keep maintaining that, what we work towards. We've now got to fill in this top end space, which is folding ourselves up. So essentially this pike position, or reaching the legs all the way through to the hands. That requires some hamstring flexibility and some ab compression strength. Basically, we've got to keep our hips behind the bar and our lats, upper back, pushing down on the bar as our feet float up and reach the bar here, holding ourselves back here before the feet pull down and our chest pulls through. The recovery will be gone through after this. Not much to demonstrate apart from just pulling the feet down and pushing the chest through. But this top end compression is important because we've got to squeeze in here, fold ourselves up, trust the hamstrings, trust the lats, and then let our chest fall through as we pull the feet down. So, establish rhythm. Get some tension in. Start pulling up the feet, driving the hips back behind the bar, finding the timing, and then keeping that leg speed and that drive back with the hips as we pull back and lift the feet up. Now, where people fall out of position, well, out of that rhythm, is where they have the feet lift, and in that top end compression, they don't hold the hips back and the ribs down and press down on the bar. They end up leaning back, pulling their hips forward under the bar, and so when their feet are up here, their hips aren't back here, they're underneath. So I'll show you that. We start to get this rhythm, and then doing this wrong swing, and they have to re-kip go back into the toaster bar. You see that a lot. So the fixes for that are just to obey your limitation of your hamstrings, your lat strength, etc. You can work some top ends range of motion stuff around it. So pike raises are quite good. Literally folding yourself forward as far as you can, pressing into the floor, lifting the toes. You can move them up and down. You can just hold it there, whatever. This is essentially the top of the toaster bar. And then ball ups for lat strength. Now, the hips will come under in this drill, but the main aim is just pushing down on the bar whilst keeping our belly button squeezed through our abs. So here, take the knees up, push down with straight arms, hold, and release back down. That's just holding tight in the midline as we push down, same as that top end. Have a go. Remember, lift the feet, drive the hips back, keep that rhythm, and only move ahead and lift the feet further if you can keep that.
On to part D, the return. That is where you've got your feet to the bar, you're still holding on obviously, your hips are behind the bar, you fold yourself in half and got that toes to bar rep. Now we need to initiate pulling the feet back down and moving back into this arch position, which will load up that next rep of kipping toes to bar. Pull the feet down. That's one of the most important things. As you pull the feet down from the top of the toaster bar, they're going to come down, and as you do, your chest and your hips will move through the bar and the feet will return to here, chest through, feet down. If you don't pull the feet down fast enough or your chest and hips go through too fast, basically you're going to fall through with the chest, the feet are still in front of the bar, it's not mirrored, and you're going to fall into this back swing, which is not the kind of opposite swing that we've been looking at. Chest through, maintain palm grip. That just means that we're not sliding around the bar. We're not pinky knuckle and the palm remain on top of the bar the whole time, keeping good leverage for upper body drive and to be able to create more purchase to provide more power. So we've been through all these shapes either side of the bar, lifting the feet, maintaining each side of the bar, adding compression by folding ourselves in half, hamstring flexibility, lat drive, squeezing the abs at the top, maintaining the hips back. I won't emphasize that enough, or I can't emphasize that enough. And then finally the return, pulling the feet down rapidly. Try and avoid the faults, develop up these stage by stage. Hopefully this has been a better, more slightly deeper look into the kipping toes to bar, so you'll achieve that more intermediate level in your classes.